Season 2, Episode 1 of Severance left me with so many questions, and I just couldn't wait for the whole season to drop to start discussing it. So, in a way, I kind of caved in and decided to do weekly breakdowns. But before we get started, I want to say that I will not be touching upon Season 1 in this video. I will be linking a video I did a couple of months ago where I explored the world of Severance, the key plot points, and also asked the big question of would you sever. I will be linking it somewhere here in the video, and if you don't see it here, that's because I didn't understand how to do it, and I will definitely be linking it down in the description. So please be sure to check it out and join the discussion. Now for this video, it will be divided into two parts. The first part will be a recap of the episode in question. The second part will be my theories and opinions about the episode. If you're not here for the recap, no worries, I've included timestamps, so feel free to just skip ahead. Now, episode 1 had me asking, what is next for Mark and the team? What is Lumen plotting? And what does Cold Harbor mean? So without further ado, let's get into it. Season 2, Episode 1 starts off with Mark waking up as his any form in the elevator on the severed floor, and he is extremely panicked. He runs through Lumen's white halls trying to get his bearings. Along the way, he notices something unsettling. Miss Casey's wellness room has been completely decommissioned. When Mark makes it to his desk in macro data refinement, or MDR, he's in for another shock. His old crew is gone, and in their place are 3 new co-workers, Mark W, Dario R, and Gwendolyn Y. They already know his name, but he doesn't know them at all. Enter Mr. Milchick with balloons that have Mark's face printed on them. Milchick tells Mark it's been 5 months since the big incident, and says it's time to move on, but things have definitely changed. Milchick has been promoted to floor manager, and he introduces a new deputy manager, Miss Huang, who is a literal child. Mark immediately wants to know where his old team is. Milchick deflects, saying the group became the face of the Severance reform after the incident, but chose not to return to Lumen. Milchick adds that Mark's Audi begged to come back, which surprises Mark's innie and us. Milchick shuts down any hope of reuniting with his old friends and dismisses him with a patronizing "enjoy your balloons." Now Mark tries to settle with his new team, but things feel off. At the end of the workday, he slips a handwritten note into Mark W's coat, urging his Audi to intervene. The plan backfires when Mark W reports the note to Milchick. As punishment, Milchick strips Mark of his department chief status and hands it to Mark W. He creates a diversion by lying about something he did in the kitchenette. He sneaks off to call the mysterious board. Just as Mark pleads for the return of his team, Milchick storms in, unplugs the speaker, and escorts Mark back to the elevator. The next day, everything changes again. Dylan, Irving, and Helly, Mark's original team, return. Miss Huang escorts them to the break room, where Milchick shows them a bizarre stop-motion video celebrating their macro data uprising. It's both creepy and funny, with Lumen painting the mutiny as the catalyst for their new employee-focused policies. Also, if anybody knows where to get those balloon lamps, I would greatly appreciate that. Now, after the video, Milchick even gives them an option to quit as innies and gives them some time to decide. In the break room, Mark shares what little he's learned about the outside world, including the shocking truth that Miss Casey is actually his Audi's presumed dead wife. But Helly lies, hiding her identity as Helena Egan. Irving clams up about his attempts to reconnect with Bird, and Dylan tries to keep the peace. Irving eventually confesses to Dylan that his Audi found a painting of a dark hallway, possibly the same one he's been obsessively drawing. Before Irving can leave Lumen in frustration, Dylan convinces him to stay for the sake of their friendship. Meanwhile, Milchick shows Dylan blueprints for a new Audi family visitation suite, a concept that could let innies meet their Audi's loved ones, but it's not clear if this is a real plan or just another way for Milchick to manipulate the team. Now, in the closing moments of Season 2, Episode 1, the team finally Helly regroups at their desks. Mark starts working on a file labeled Cold Harbor, which to our horror is revealed to be directly connected to Miss Casey. The metrics on the screen are tied to her, with medical imagery suggesting Lumen is still running experiments on her. And that's where episode 1 leaves us, full of mysteries, twists, and the lingering question of what the hell is happening. Now let's move on to the theories. I might be reaching, I'm still building it out, I just had one episode, guys, so please don't judge me too hard for these. And please, if you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments below down too. Now my first theory is the 5 months theory, and I also took the liberty of naming each one of these theories. When the episode starts, Milchick tells Mark it's been 5 months.
What you all did 5 months ago was one of the most painful moments in the history of this company.
5 months?
I too was wounded by it.
Which completely shocked me, and I'm assuming everybody else. 5 months? For us and the innies, it feels like maybe a day max. On that same day, Mark leaves the office, but we see him right back on the severed floor almost immediately. Now I know in season 1, we didn't always get to see their lives outside. The show often cuts straight to the severed floor, but this really does feel different. Then comes the 3rd day, and things get even weirder. Mark returns to the severed floor, but this time he looks terrified, like he's in pain or in a way disoriented. Not long after, Dylan arrives, blurting out, "The man who just tackled me." Keyword just.
So the man who just tackled me and cut up my best belt is our boss now? Fuck.
Then Helly steps out of the elevator, and her first question is, "How long has it been?" Mark answers, 5 months, maybe more.
How long has it been? 5 months, maybe more.
Here's where it gets suspicious. Milchick said Irving, Dylan, and Helly didn't want to come back.
We tried for weeks to get them back, Mark. None of them agreed.
So why are they here? And why does the timeline really feel fractured? Now here's what I'm thinking, okay guys? Stay with me on this one. The innies haven't been in their outie forms for those 5 months. I believe Lumen kept them in some sort of suspense state, or worse, as a punishment. And knowing Lumen's methods, remember the break room? This theory isn't far-fetched. Where were they during these 5 months? My guess, maybe they were at the testing floor like Miss Casey. What if the innies themselves are clones stuck in some experiment to push the limits of Severance? That would explain the confusion, the pain, and the fragmented sense of time. Also, the testing floor could be a holding area or something far more worse. Now, as for my second theory, Miss Casey, I really do think she's a clone, especially in episode 1 of season 2. When we see Mark working on her file and the last seconds of the episode, what we see is Mark collecting all those numbers by feeling and putting them into the usual containers. Woe, frolic, malice, and dread. We see Miss Casey's face, and then it says Cold Harbor, and then we also see 2 abbreviations, ITNO and IDNO. So what I'm assuming here is ITNO might be iteration number, and IDNO means ID number. They look like they're tracking data, almost like she is part of some kind of experiment. Be it clone or not, there's definitely something going on. There is also someone who I would like to mention in this theory with Miss Casey, and that is Miss Huang. Now there was a moment in season 2 of episode 1 where they are playing the ball game with Mark and his new co-workers, and when it's Mark S's turn, he looks at Miss Huang, and then we see a overlapping image of Gemma, also known as Miss Casey. This is just a theory, I might be wrong. Could Miss Huang be Mark and Gemma's daughter, or, and here's the twist, a younger clone of Gemma, also known as Miss Casey? Now, if Lumen is cloning adults, why wouldn't they experiment with younger iterations too? The connection between Miss Casey, her short-lived existence, and Miss Huang feels a little bit intentional. Finally, the biggest debate right now, is Helly a spy? Is she, Helena, actively working against the team, or is she just Helly? Personally, I think it's a red herring. It feels way too obvious, but I couldn't just dismiss the idea of her being the spy or not. I had to create a pro and cons list. Now, when season 2 episode 1 finally introduces us to Helly, her and Mark share a very awkward hug. She looked genuinely shocked, and that was weird for me because they kissed at the end of season 1. Now, a hug you would think shouldn't be a big deal, right? Unless she was shocked to even see him, or Helena Egan was thrown off by it. I don't know. Now, the second thing I noticed is how Helly was analyzing Dylan. When Helly saw him in MDR, she eyed him like she was studying him. Or Helly couldn't believe that Dylan was actually there and all of them were back together. Right after that moment of them conversing in MDR, Helly mentions something that also made me feel like, this is interesting. Right after the whole conversation with the team at MDR, Helly asks what happened to it. What happened to the security camera?
Wait, what happened to the security camera?
Now that could mean she knew it was supposed to be there and noticed it was gone because of her attempts to escape in season 1. Or maybe her Audi, Helena, instructed her to casually mention it as part of some plan to kind of protect her identity, protect that the Audi is really here. Now the break room moment is another layer. Helly lied about what she saw outside, giving that ridiculous night gardener story, which could mean two things.
I was watching some nature show on TV, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt.
What kind of t-shirt? Did it feature like a band or pocket?
It was like a Save the Gorilla shirt.
She's hiding her real Audi identity, ashamed or afraid to tell the group who she really is, or if she's a spy, it might just be a terrible attempt at blending in. Now, after the break room incident, her line to Mark, "We're not the same, us and the Audis. We don't owe them shit."
We're not the same, actually. Us and the Audis, we're not. And speaking for myself, I don't think we owe them shit.
It adds a little bit more intrigue. It could mean she's disgusted by Helena and what she represents, or it could be the other way around, Helena feeling detached from her inner self and only viewing it as a social experiment. Finally, when episode 1 is about to conclude, there's the moment where she struggles to find the computer's power button. Maybe it was just a human error. You know, sometimes you use a computer and your hand slips. But if she is a spy, then why would you fumble something so basic? How could you not get this right? And here's the kicker, guys. I've been thinking about this. If it really has been 5 months, if we are to believe this story, wouldn't she have had plenty of time to prepare? Wouldn't they run her through it? Wouldn't they show her all the ins and outs? What I truly think is that this whole Helly is a spy angle is a deliberate distraction. They want us focused on her odd behavior, but I think there's a really bigger play here, something we haven't seen yet or maybe even missed entirely. Helly's actions are suspicious, yes, I'll give you that, but the real twist might be lurking somewhere else. And that is season 2, episode 1 recap and my theories and opinions. If you enjoy this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe. I want to thank everybody who took the time of day to watch this video or listen to it. I can't freaking wait to hear y'all's opinions in the comments down below. Let's keep the conversation going because we still have a bunch of episodes. And now remember, the important thing is to never stop questioning. Even me. Till next time.